with Micah Parsons and Penei Sewell, and man, oh man, I don't know who's going to win.
Hall of Fame right tackle or Hall of Fame linebacker?
Penei Sewell is a guy that can keep you in every game by keeping the right side shut down. Micah Parsons is a guy that can win you games with turnovers, fumble recoveries, sack strip fumbles, interceptions. It doesn't matter. The guy can play everywhere.
I appreciate Sewell just the way he works. It's like you talk about this talent, but, it's the ones that separate the good ones from the great ones are guys that work. They work, and Sewell works. He works at it. He works his craft. He'll stay after practice. He does those things. And so anytime you're a guy like that, the sky's the limit. And so I'm looking forward to that matchup.
I'm looking forward to that matchup more than any matchup in the NFL, be it any team playing, be it any college football team playing, be it any basketball team playing, be it any baseball playoff matchup. Because you know why? Penei Sewell has been hearing for a little over a year, actually longer than that. Penei Sewell has been hearing for about 18 months that the Lions got the wrong guy, that the Lions should have got this guy, the Lions should have got that guy. No, even though Penei Sewell played really well last year, even though a lot of people have given him his flowers, even though he graded out second amongst rookie offensive linemen, they still have wanted one guy. And on the other side of the ball, that guy, Micah Parsons, has been on a tear since he wasn't drafted in the top 5, since he wasn't drafted in the top 2, since he wasn't put where everybody says he should have been. Everybody compares him to Lawrence Taylor, the next coming. Well, guess what? Penei Sewell might be the only guy on his level, same age, that does not care about where people are ranking him. I am excited to see that because on one end, you got a guy that is challenging to be Defensive Player of the Year in Micah Parsons. And on the other end, you got a guy that is challenging to say, you know what? They should have picked me. I was the pick for the Detroit Lions and has been playing at a high rate. And you know he's not a punk. You saw him last year against Aaron Donald and the Rams. I'm extremely happy to see this because what this offensive line does, it allows you not to have to go 2-on-1. So you're going to see a lot of one-on-ones with Micah Parsons and Penei Sewell. And man, oh man, I don't know who's going to win.
You never know. Maybe they'll line up Mike on the other side.
They're
going to move him around.
They do that with him, but at the same time, he's primarily lined up on the left side of the line, which is right in front of Penei Sewell at right tackle. So primarily, he will line up in front of Penei Sewell. He'll move around. He does that. He moves to the middle, drops in coverage. He moves over. They do stunts with DeMarcus Lawrence, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, 55% of the game, he's going to be lined up right over Big Penei Sewell.
That's a hell of a defense there. It's not a one-man show either.
If you've watched this show or this network for any length of time over the last year and a half, Tom Mazawey has been the one guy that has really put this question to the forefront. He was saying Parsons. Because, Tom, I'll let you explain it first and foremost. There's nothing against Sewell.
No.
But you were just really high on Parsons. Can you just kind of walk through that? Because it's going to be highlighted this week and this weekend on Sunday specifically. And it's going to be a big conversation piece, I think, come Monday for sure.
Hey, man, from day one, from that night when we were downtown in Greektown and we were doing our draft show. And I remember the Lions jumping up and down when they got Penei Sewell. And I was like, man, that's great, but you know what? You already had a pretty damn good offensive line. You had 2 number ones. You had a couple of guys that stepped in there that made the line good. Now, as good as Penei Sewell's going to be, he had the year off. Remember? He took that year off. Yeah. And we all had those questions. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, the side that I really love, the defensive side, I just thought this kid was special. And he's another guy that slipped down because he had some questions about something that he did. I think it was a hazing incident. I'm almost positive it was a hazing incident.
He wasn't the first,
at Penn
he won't
State.
be the last.
And you know what? Bad move by the first 10 teams that passed on him. And the Cowboys got themselves a winner. And the Lions haven't had a defense since, I don't even remember the last time they had a really good defense. And since Sue left, they haven't had a good defense. So why not take the weakest part of your team at that point? Why build the offensive line where you already had a pretty good one? Why? And then Slater goes later in the draft to the Chargers. I just think it was a bad error. I do.
Well, if you go back and could redraft,
Right.
Essentially, Penei Sewell was taken 7, and then a couple of defensive backs go 8 and 9 in that 2021 draft. You certainly weren't going to take a defensive back in that draft because of who you took at number 3 the year prior in Jeff Okudah. And then you look wide receiver, quarterback. Those two positions you were not going to take, especially with Jared Goff. So there's Micah Parsons. It was either Sewell or Parsons or Jamar Chase, by the way. Yeah. Maybe if Jamar Chase was there, that would have been a guy that you would have looked at to help out your quarterback, and that would have been fine. But if Hall of Fame right tackle or Hall of Fame linebacker, which player at what position is going to have the most impact on your team? That was a classic error. And if you are looking at how to build a team, what about Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson, or Micah Parsons and Evan Neal?
Yeah,
that's it's kind of how you're thinking about it.
No, that's amazing, and I'll just say this, and because the conversation out there could be this, you know what? Well, you guys are saying, well, the Lions missed on him at 7, and they could have taken him, and they didn't. Well, then you also can make the arguments, well, what about the other 10 teams that passed on him? Here's the difference in that conversation, Maz and Ryan. The other teams that passed on Micah Parsons, the player they picked is a position of need as well, a big need. You look at Jalen Waddle in Miami. They needed a wide receiver. Kyle Pitts and the Falcons desperately needed a tight end. You look at J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn got injured last year, but before he got injured, he was on a record pace. He's a nice defensive back. Patrick Surtain, Denver needed a defensive back. He's already in the conversation.
Von Miller too at the time.
And they had Von Miller. He's already in the, and they had Browning, who's another individual baller. He's already in the conversation, one of the best defensive backs in the league. Everybody drafted a position of need
not the
that
Lions.
Passed on Penei Sewell except one team.
Yep.
The Detroit Lions are the only team that passed on him, but then drafted a need that they did not. Well, they drafted someone they didn't need.
And honestly, 4 of the teams picked a quarterback, which nobody's going to complain about picking a quarterback, right?
No.
I mean, even if you get it wrong, nobody's going to complain about picking a quarterback. That's just
people ask me, you think he would have been Micah Parsons on the Lions? Yeah, I do think he would have been the same player. Of course. He's a freak. He's a freak.
I mean, the Giants weren't that good when they drafted Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
They sucked.
Exactly. He made them good, and then they start placing Carl Banks along. Henry Carson was already there, but then Carl Banks. Then you have Pepper Hamilton or Pepper Johnson. See, I can go old school. They added those pieces around Lawrence Taylor to create that Bill Parcells defense.
It just feels like the Lions passed on a guy again that had an Aaron Donald type impact, right? I mean,
they did.
They take Eric Ebron over Aaron Donald, and I don't want to compare Sewell to Ebron because hell, Sewell could eventually be a gold jacket.
I don't care.
I know, but that's the point. So I don't want to compare, but I'm telling you, I mean, you pass on Aaron Donald, you pass on this player that looks like a total and complete wrecking ball, and that's how you stay bad. Really,
the difference is from Penei Sewell. No matter how well he plays in a game, the best that he can do is play lights out on the right side of the line so that he can keep you guys going forward so that you have a chance to win every Sunday. Micah Parsons can win you games by himself.
Yeah.
Now, we don't need to keep having this argument because I was going to piss everybody off. But that's case closed. Penei Sewell is a guy that can keep you in every game by keeping the right side shut down. Micah Parsons is a guy that can win you games with turnovers, fumble recoveries, sack strip fumbles, interceptions. It doesn't matter. The guy can play everywhere. He is lights out. We get it. We know. Now we want to see who's going to have the best game.
My brother Kenny Brown from WJR always comes on the chat, always texts me.
We appreciate Kenny.
We love you, KB. He's going to play longer. O-line play. I don't give a damn who plays longer. I care who's going to be a wrecking ball and who's going to change my team.
Yeah,
Penei Sewell is just going to add to it, to an offensive line that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This kid could have done wonders for your defense.
Yeah, Joe Thomas played 13, 14 years. I was there for a lot of those years.
What good is it?
I was just about to say, Joe Thomas, perennial Pro Bowler every year, All-Pro every year, first ballot Hall of Famer. Joe Thomas was amazing. Guess what? Joe Thomas finished his career with no playoff appearances, no playoff wins. Doesn't matter about how long you play at a high level. Matters about what you can create, what you can confuse when you're in the game and control. Micah Parsons has the ability to control games.
I think that's a mic drop. Really, I mean, when you consider the Joe Thomas, that's a mic drop situation right there. There's no question about it.
How are those Browns quarterbacks, by the way?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well,
right.
and if you just go through the league, go through the Lions for a minute, okay? And again, I hate crapping. I'm crapping on Brad Holmes and the makeup of the team, not crapping on the player Penei Sewell.
All right.
Like if you think of,
he's a hell of a.
Right.
Don't get us twisted, myself, and Ryan. Penei Sewell is a hell of a player. So watch what he does on a week in and week out basis is amazing. We never come up here and have any complaints about Penei Sewell. Never. He is a player. We're just simply saying the type of player that Micah Parsons is in the Lions picks.
I do want to say this too. How many times, and we saw that stat, and I wish I had the stat in front of me. I don't, but it was something about the last 5 Super Bowl winners. It was prior to the Super Bowl.
How many offensive linemen were drafted high?
In the first round,
Yeah.
I think there was like 5.
Yeah.
And I think there was like
20-something.
20-something in the 6th round or later, meaning 6th, 7th round or undrafted. It just goes to show you how you build a team. Look at the Lions themselves. Frank Ragnow went out last year, locked down maybe the best center in the league, right? First round pick. Evan Brown actually came in, who was an undrafted free agent, and played, I think he was just on the outside looking in
on the
Pro Bowl.
Third.
Look at Dan
Skipper.
Dan Skipper he's had 20 contracts in the NFL.
6
He's
seasons.
Never seen the
Never
field.
made a team.
Never made a team.
Forget seeing the field. He never made a team.
Never made a team. He has come in and played lights out right guard in his opportunity. And I think the moral of the story is you can find an offensive lineman off the street. Clearly, you can find that because we've seen this on Super Bowl caliber teams compared to when's the last time you really saw an undrafted free agent or player in the 6th round or later, sans Malcolm Rodriguez. Forgive the Malcolm Rodriguez. I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame just yet, ladies and gentlemen. But, I mean, when's the last time you really saw a guy like that play lights-out linebacker? Can you name me one that is in the conversation for, like, a Player of the Year award and the defense, like in a linebacker? I can't
Maybe
think
Sam Mills.
Okay, that's one in the history of the last 40 years.
To your point, that's 25 years ago.
When was Zach Thomas drafted? Was he like a 4th round pick?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that's 2 guys.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the last 5 Super Bowl winners.
If you go back to the 1990s Cowboys, the stud teams, that offensive line was second to none. Besides that, if I go back to the 86 Giants or the 85 Bears, I can name you 2 offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you their whole freaking defense. I can tell you that. And they won.
Exactly.
Pretty handily.